Part 3, Relationships.
Love means you get all the people.
Yeah, mine is kind of like same thing, like have a good friendship, relationship together. And sometimes we do these together.
It's something you feel, you can't really say.
It failed. You can't. It come to you. You can't feel it. It's come.
It's invisible.
Yeah,
It's
invisible.
there.
It's there. See, in my heart.
An individual with disability can always find love. I mean, if it's not parental love, it's family love, friendships, love, support people who have their form of love for the individuals that they work with. But respect is another thing from community, from strangers, that unfortunately they see a wheelchair. They don't see a person. Sometimes they see an obstacle. They don't even see wheelchair, let alone the person. They just see an obstacle.
Disability does not define me. The way I think, and the way I think about other people, the way I treat other people, that's what defines me.
How I define a healthy relationship is when both people respect each other's point of views and when they both listen to what both people need.
You have to start out by knowing what each person likes or enjoys in general or otherwise. And you have to, for instance, in my opinion, you have to hold hands and really, as I said before, try to get to know that person. Don't be so, try not to be so concerned about yourself, because if it is meant to be, the other person will let you know if you've been doing the right things.
If you're going to a relationship, you have to realize, look at the person, how they are. If you go into in the relationship trying to want to change somebody because they're a certain way, you can talk things over. And in conversations, whatever you're talking about. And if you don't like something, get away from it. You have to examine it and say, how much do I like this person? If everybody's different. Don't try to change the person, because if you try to change them, they're not that person anymore. Who are you marrying anyway, or living with? Everybody's the way they are. You should let them live or the way they are, except they don't. I don't know. If they want it to work, don't try to change them.
It has to start with knowing the individual for what they are and how they feel, and then the rest of it will, if it's done correctly, will come automatically, and with respect, it will come naturally.
Part 4, Expressing Your Sexuality.
All individuals can have a healthy sex life. It really doesn't matter if you're homosexual. It doesn't matter if you're disabled. Doesn't matter if you're normal, you know. Some normal people have difficulties with sexuality. So, you know, there's nothing abnormal about a person with a disability having sexual relations.
Is it difficult? Yes, because we have a lot of paraplegic, quadriplegic persons served that have very unique physical challenges. And if we're going to, myself included, but if we're going to address the issue of sexuality as a whole, service providers, vendors, circles of supports have to get over themselves and just figure it out, even if they're uncomfortable.
It's a difficult subject as a parent to speak with a child. Even though she's 25, she's still my child. She's an adult child, but you know, we've talked about you know, the basic biology. She's had classes at school with basic biology, human, what do they call that now? I don't know how they refer to it, human relationships and such. But the actual physical part of sexuality, I'm concerned for her because I don't know if she will ever be able to consummate a relationship.
So I think the best thing parents can do, and people who have people who raise disabled people, is just be open with your child, because I don't like the fact that you have 30 or 40 or 50-year-old people with disabilities, or even older, who don't have any idea of like the reproductive system, because parents were too afraid of approaching their child strictly because of his or her disability.
At the end of the day, you're really talking about someone else's quality of life. And I wouldn't take it away from you. Why would you, because of fear or uncertainty or unwillingness, try and take it away from me just because I'm a person with a disability? You may not be the appropriate person for that job or what the expectation is, but there has to be somebody that with time, training, understanding, and patience would be. And you have to dress it out across the board. You have to dress it for quadriplegics who can't get themselves in and out of bed, as well as people that are ambulatory and not necessarily easily identified as having a visible disability.
Intimacy is very important. The closeness for me is very important. To be extremely close to a person as a friend or otherwise. But it's like you almost have to have both. She should be your best friend, you know, in life. You should be able to communicate with that person anything you want, anytime you want, and vice versa.
You can't preach that you're going to help people live independent lives or as independently as possible if you don't address issues of sexuality and sex.
Part 5. Self-determination.
The attention to this topic of relationships and sexuality came out of discussions with a group of self-advocates. And so they were the ones that said, this is an area that we still need, some growth in, some attention.